aircraft nuclear propulsion reactor at INL actually came under his budget, I believe, in those days. And he went on to work in various capacities in nuclear reactors for GE and Westinghouse. He is the CEO and founder of Quadrex, a nuclear engineering firm with over 1,000 employees that operated worldwide and had a reprocessing facility in Oak Ridge. And in little less than 2 months, he will be celebrating his 90th birthday. And he's here to tell us a little bit about the history of the nuclear Navy. Sherman Numark.
Well, since I don't have too much to tell you, at any point you can tell me that that's enough, and I'll sit down and give you the time. You know, as you look back, it's amazing what has happened in the last 70 years in this field of getting power from materials that never were considered in the past. Electricity just didn't need this kind of material. And it came about because not that we were looking for an alternate to how do we produce energy for civilian work. It came about because we were at war. And we damn near lost the war in the Pacific because submarines are not submarines. Submarines can operate under the surface for maybe 2, 3, 4 hours. Then they have to come up because it's hard to get 11 pounds of air for every pound of fuel you burn underwater. There just isn't that ability to do it. So we had to come with a better way of making a submarine a real submarine, and that goes over a long time. The other thing that you learn in this field, and I've been in it for 70 years, is that it's hard to bring things about because the public is scared of terminology. They're scared of nuclear. They're scared of a lot of other things. On the other hand, some of these devices that have been used to generate electricity have been safer by far than what we have used in the past. If you take a look at generation of electricity for civilian work, how many millions of people have been killed in mine incidents over the last couple of centuries? Right now, 20% of all electricity in the world is nuclear. You know how many people have been killed with bringing nuclear on? I don't know. I know of one, or maybe more. But the public doesn't get to see this, doesn't get to know it, because nobody really thinks about it ahead of time. And as you know, being in this field, you've got to get the public to be a sponsor of what you're trying to do. You can't bet the tide. And a lot of times the public becomes a sponsor because of conditions beyond their control. A war is going on, and you have to do something that you've never done in the past. And then the minute that need is over, other people come in and say, you've generated something that is even worse. And if you're in this business, you know that nuclear power, or the word nuclear, scares the hell out of everybody. And it really is no reason to do it because the cosmos wouldn't be here without the whole nuclear process. I got involved in, and incidentally, I'll give you a little background, but anytime you feel I'm going too far, just wave your hand. I got involved in this thing after the war. I was in the Pacific during the war on an aircraft carrier. It was Saratoga. And it is amazing how little we realize of the world around us. In that you worry about nuclear and you worry about things like that. And you realize that the world has been around for billions of years. And all the energy, real energy that has been used there has been nuclear. That's why the world is here. The cosmos is here. Because what's going on is we're not getting the energy by burning oil or burning coal. We're getting it from the sun. We're getting it from the stars. That's what the sun is. And the world wouldn't be here if we were to outlaw nuclear energy. So thankfully, we don't have to take a vote on that. The other thing is that the impossible can become the possible, but you've got to get enough people feeling that you're doing something worthwhile. Got involved after the war, got involved with nuclear propulsion for submarines. We almost lost the war in the Pacific because the submarine couldn't be a submarine. You can't run a submarine feeding oil to it all the time and stay more than a couple hours below the surface. When we got after that whole program took only 6 years to go from concept to where we had the operating plant, namely the Nautilus. And the Nautilus, or its counterparts, have gone around the world submerged. So that's kind of the things that happen when you come upon something that is new but doable. That whole program was done within 6 years. And
That's great.
so
I'm sorry we don't have more
No.
time, but I'd like to give you a little bit of time to answer some
all right,
questions.
by all means.
Any questions? History here.
I have a question.
Oh, well, he raised his hand for you.
Recent discussion
Okay.
about turning our nuclear navy from a uranium, plutonium kind of a navy into a thorium navy. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't, but it's very difficult to take a system that has proved itself, that you've spent money on, where a number, maybe 100 or so vessels already have a long operating history, and say that we need something better. Maybe we do, but nobody's going to buy that.
I think one of the rationales is if you have it in a military budget, you got unlimited R&D. So if we're very serious going into a thorium era, we can do it through a military budget.
Well, if you find a good reason to convince people that they should use federal money, that's one thing. I was in charge of the aircraft nuclear propulsion program out of Cincinnati many years ago. And you couldn't do that without high temperature materials. We also had thorium as a part of some of the work. But it just was too far away from reality, and we had to cut the program off.
Rick?
Yeah, in the sort of mythology of Oak Ridge, Rickover is often cast as the villain who quashed thorium research while Alvin Weinberg sort of heroically tried to push it forward. And I wonder if you could just talk about that from your point of view. Is there any truth to that? What was Rickover actually, what were his motivations and so on from what you could see?
I don't think there's any truth in that. Primarily, just if you take a look at the history, the reactor development program after the war was started out at Oak Ridge. Alvin Weinberg was a genius and a very capable person, and he started it. Argonne National Lab was also working on that kind of a reactor, a low temperature reactor. Low temperature, I mean 600 degrees Fahrenheit. The government decided at about that time in 1949, that it wanted the reactor program developed by Argonne National Lab, and Oak Ridge would be spending their time on other things. And the talent that was assigned to this shifted from Oak Ridge to Argonne. I don't think Rickover had anything to do with that. I have to have been in the government with the Chicago operations office, and Argonne took over, and I never heard anything about they took over because they took it away from Oak Ridge. I don't think there's anything to that.
Well, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough for